Here we are on step 3 for our Airbnb project. Step 3 is going to have you um, use Adobe Express to create web page banners for our upcoming web pages. And you are going to do 3 different banners to match the 3 different categories of information and images that you have collected on our previous steps. So, for example, you started researching your country that your Airbnb property is in. You are going to create a banner for that. You are going to create a banner for your actual property, your Airbnb, and then you're going to create a banner for your adventures. And you, in previous steps on part 2 and on our multimedia, you should have collected images and information to be able to create these images. And these images will eventually be used to put at the top of our web pages where we are talking about this information for our media. So to start, the first slide of this gives you some basic information, but we are going to go ahead and go into Adobe Express. And we're going to click on the new button up here in the top left, and we are going to choose custom graphic size. Our custom graphic size, if it doesn't already pop over, is going to be over here on the right. And we are going to make it 1500 by 400. This will work perfectly at the top of a website. Gives you a blank page here. And within this page, this is where we are going to create our graphics. Now, on the presentation, it should give you some information about what you want to include on each of those. So for this example, I'm going to go ahead and do my country page. First thing I'm going to do is go up here and rename it. And I want to make sure I include the name of my country, the flag, some descriptive words, 3 images at least, and then design assets. And I'll show you what those are. Make sure it's colorful and universal. So I'm going to go ahead to Adobe Express and start by choosing a layout. All right, I'm going to try this layout right here. Now, you don't have to use a layout, but I like layouts. Kind of gives me a starting point for a lot of different graphics and things like that. You know what? I'm going to use less images. So let's go up here. Maybe I'll choose something along this line. All right. And then I'm going to use each of these. And we did this for one of our previous projects where I can choose an image to replace these squares. And it gives me a nice, clean, even layout. Now, I already went in and collected images. And if you remember, right here are my Costa Rica images. These 2 images, the one called Flag and San Jose, you can notice that these are WebP. And we talked about this in a previous project. I actually converted those using the conversion tool. And here is the JPEG version of the flag. And here is the JPEG version of the San Jose. And you can see how they actually look different on here. So make sure you've already converted all of your high quality images to JPEGs or PNGs. So I'm going to start out. I'm going to click choose image. And since that image is actually on my computer, I'm going to click upload photo. It's going to pop open with the navigation dialog box. Go to pictures. I put all mine inside Costa Rica, and I'm going to start out with the beach image, and that is going to swap that out. I'm going to go over here. Maybe I adjust it a little bit. Maybe I don't like the framing or the size, and I can adjust all those different things over here and continue to go in and upload my images. All right, I'm going to pause the video here for a second while I add each of these images. There we go. And take a look at what that looks like. Again, I was going through here. I actually ended up changing my layout. I didn't like how those images looked with that particular layout. You can always change that as you're going. Next thing I'm going to do is insert some text. So I'm going to use my text here. You can use some of these pre-laid text, but I find it easier to click on add your text. One of the things you want to make sure you include is obviously the name of your country. And if you go through, you can do some adjustments to the shape. It'll give you some recommended layouts here. Adjust the color, the size, the positioning. whatever you would like. And remember, you're going through and you're trying to include descriptive words, images, design assets. We want to make sure we include our flag as well. So I'm going to go ahead over here on the left, click photos. And instead of clicking on a square, I'm just clicking on photos, upload photo. I'm going to grab my flag. And that will just put it in as a graphic. I can go ahead and resize that and put it exactly where I want that to go. Put in some additional text underneath here talking about some of my features. And then I want to use some of my design assets over here on the left side. These are just a whole variety of different effects, graphics, illustrations, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take a look at some of the illustrations. And I'm going to look up the sun just because I think the sun is sunny there. And that gives us some cool things to use. I'm going to put that sun there. I can move it. I can change the size of it. I can change the color of it. I can add some filters to it. And I can do all sorts of different things, effects to this, right? And use a few of these around just to give it a little bit of an additional flavor and effects throughout this. I don't need to use a ton of these, but it does give me a few things to kind of mess with and add to. Right? And I'm going to do a few more things along here, and we'll have a finished copy at the end of this. Put a couple of finishing touches here, some famous Costa Rican phrases, pura vida, which means pure life. I'm going to change the color of this, use my eyedropper tool and get some color from this to apply it here. We've got some shapes we can use. If I like this shape that it's using, or I can click here. Oops. There we go. And let's change some shape colors, and maybe we'll want to do something along this line. So as you're going through here, there's a lot of different effects you can do. As you can see, the more you mess with this, the more you play with this, you can do all sorts of effects to create a really exciting header. All right, so let's say I'm done with this header. I've got some images and I got some imagery. I'm going to do two things. Up here first, I'm going to go ahead and type in country. Make sure I name it. All right. Secondly, I'm going to go ahead and download this as a JPEG. So if I click JPEG, I'm going to start my download, and I want to go ahead and put this into my pictures folder with all my other pictures. So if I haven't already, over here on the left, click pictures, go inside Costa Rica, and I'm actually going to call this country header, all one word, no spaces. Hit save, and now I've got that. And now I have my very first header. And I'm going to move on to my second one for my Airbnb, where I'm going to get pictures from my Airbnb and some of the features for that, and then adventure as well. And at the end of this, you should have 3 headers that you'll be able to turn in, and you want them to be JPEGs or PNGs. JPEGs work the best, I believe. And this is the end of step 3.